Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 10:32. We are back and you are tuned into Heart Connections with your heart coach Adelai Brown on kinetichifi.com. It is time for Heart Talk. Heart Talk is the talk portion of the show. This is when we come together to renew our minds and restore our hearts. I also do Heart Talk every Monday night at 9:15 on my conference call for ladies. It's a ladies only Heart Talk, but here it's for all of us. And I love you fellas, and I'm glad that you all are here. This segment of the show is brought to you by my new book, Help Save Me from My Broken Heart, Your Journey to Living and Loving Again. And you can pre-order your copy of Help Save Me from My Broken Heart at theheartconnections.com. Theheartconnections.com. I want to encourage you, if you enjoy the Heart Talks or anything that I'm talking about, you want to get a copy of this book. This book is going to bless you. It's a great foundation for those who want to make a shift in their lives. They want to transition. They know that it's more to life than what they've been experiencing, and they want to experience that in life. This book is going to help you do that. So make sure you pre-order your copy. Today is the last day for the $10 pre-order price. The price will be going up as of May the 1st. So I want to encourage you, if you're going to pre-order your copy, you want to pre-order it now. We're going to go ahead and get into our Heart Talk for today, and make sure you pre-order your copy at theheartconnections.com. Today we're talking about imagination. It's Make It Happen Monday, and today we're talking about imagination. And to imagine is to form a mental image or concept of, to suppose or assume. Okay, think about that. To imagine is to form a mental concept of, to suppose or assume. I feel like many of us in life are missing out because we are not allowing ourselves the beauty of imagination. We are not allowing ourselves the ability to see things, to form a mental concept of, because all we're going by are the facts. All we're going by are facts. The fact is, this is bad in my life. The fact is, I'm not, I just got this diagnosis and that's a fact. And that's what's going on in my life. Okay, I have it. I get it. That happened. But what are you willing to form a mental image of? What are you thinking about? You got that diagnosis. So now are all you focused on is death? Or are you focused on living your life to the fullest? And that's one of the things I want you to think about as we go through the day, because many of us say we believe in God, and we say that, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But the mental picture or image that we form in our head is the completely opposite image or picture. And we wonder why our lives look like the latter. We wonder why we're not living our lives to the fullest. We wonder why we're not getting the breakthrough in our lives that we want to. We wonder why these things are happening the way that they are. And it is because we are not imagining properly. Or we are imagining. We're just imagining. We're forming mental images or concepts that are not good for us. We are focusing on the worst case scenario. Oh my gosh, I don't want this to happen. And that's all we focus on. We don't take the time to focus on and say, okay, I want this to work out good for me. So these are the steps that I'm going to take. And I'm going to put these pictures up, and I'm going to put myself around these people. These are some things I want you to think about. And the Bible talks about imagination, but it doesn't say imagination. It says things like in Proverbs 4:23. We talked about this, I think it was last week. Watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flows the springs of life. Your heart houses your imagination, your emotions, your thoughts, your things that make you excited, things that hurt your feelings. They hide your prejudices. They hide your compassion. That's where your heart houses all of that, because that's what makes you you. So even in the Bible, it talks about imagination. And I wanted to bring that up today because I feel like too many of us are focused on being literal. Well, I'm being realistic here. I don't have time for all of that imagination. That is the problem. That's why you're so mean and nasty on the surface. Yeah, you do nice things for people, but you're cold and callous. You have hard, cold love. And then you wonder why people don't open up with you the way you might like for them to. Or you can't get people to respond to you in a way that you may want them to respond to you. A lot of that is because you're not using your imagination. You're going by just the reality of what's going on. And I don't knock you for that. But the problem with that is sometimes your reality is lying on you. Sometimes your reality is telling you that you're impoverished and you can never get a break and you can never get ahead and nobody wants you. Sometimes our environments tell us things like that. And if we believe it, now our imagination has been tampered because all we can imagine is what we're seeing. And what we're seeing is poverty. What we're seeing is brokenness. What we're seeing is dysfunction. But God has a way for us to get out of that. It is how we fix our minds on things that are right and things that are pure that it talks about in like Philippians chapter 4. And that's what imagination is. Think on things that are good and lovely and of a good report. Imagination. I'm imagining my marriage being where it needs to be. I'm going to imagine my health. What would it look like for me to be in good health? Well, I would wake up this time. These are the types of things I would be doing. These are the types of things I would be eating. These are the types of places that I would be going. That's what it means when we're talking about imagination. Okay, let's go to relationships. What would it look like for you to apply imagination? Because see, the problem is a lot of people think imagination and they just think little children. They think little kids thinking about princesses and fairies and dragons and things of that nature. But the truth of the matter is those things are going on in the spiritual realm. And we can learn a lot from paying attention to children. I encourage my children to be creative, to dream, to imagine. I don't tell them things like, you can't do stuff like that. No, nobody can do that. That's impossible. Nothing is impossible. Even the word itself says, I'm possible. Look at it. So when we think about applying imagination in like a marriage, what would that look like? Well, if you know what type of relationship you would want to have with your husband or wife or whatever the case may be, if you're a man and you know what type of woman you think you want, then you focus on that. You thank God for that. And then, but you keep your mind fixed on what you want, not scrutinizing your current wife for the way she is, but you're just thanking God for bringing this person, bringing you guys together to be where you need to be. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about motives and why some of us think the way we think and do some of the things that we do. We're going to talk about that in the next segment because some of us have imaginations of things that we want and ways that we want things done. And it sounds good, but the reason why we want these things done are not good. And that's another thing that we have to, that's another thing that we have to think about. We have to really think about why we're imagining these things. I was talking to my neighbor one day and she told me about how she had from the time it was this new sports car that came out back in the 80s. I can't remember exactly what kind of car it was. And she was not in a position at that time to get the car. She said, but what she did was she cut a picture of the car out of a magazine. She cut like 2 or 3 pictures out. She put one on the ceiling over her bed. So every morning she woke up, she would look at it. And then she had one, it was like 2 other places in her house. I think like one on the dresser, maybe one in the bedroom or one at work or something like that. And every day she looked at it and she said she would imagine herself being in the car. She would imagine herself driving in a car and things of that nature. And you know what happened? Eventually, she got the car. Eventually, that car was hers. Something she didn't even think she could have before. People like her didn't have that, or people who lived in this, people who come from where I come from don't move out, or people who, how that is. I'm tearing up stuff in the studio. It's so funny. It's life. It's real life. And speaking of, if you're on Periscope, you can check me out at Heart Connections, the Heart Connections on Periscope. And if you are on YouTube, you can catch me live right now on the Heart Connections channel, the Heart Connections. You can also go to it on YouTube by typing in bit.ly/heart connections, bit.ly/heart connections. You can catch me live. And if you have any comments or questions there, you can type those in and I'll respond live on the air. Also, if you're listening in and you have a question or comment and you'd like to call in and talk, call in. I'd love to hear from you and chat with you and hear what you have to say about imagination and also take your requests. 843-300-1409. 843-300-1409. But we're having fun today talking about imagination, and I'm going to go deeper into it. I just wanted to scratch the surface and just throw some things out there, some ideas out there, because I know a lot of you heard imagination and you thought Disney, you thought Pixar, you thought little kids and fairy dust and all of that other stuff, and it is not. It is real life. It is how you get to a place where you can see the heavenly, the spiritual. You start to tap into your imagination. That's your mental image or concept of. And that's how I look at it when we think about what Paul tells us in Ephesians, that we don't wrestle in blood with physical people, flesh and blood, but with spirits in the heavenly realm. So when we decide that we're going to imagine, we come up with a mental image or concept of that we hold on to, that builds us up, that builds up our community, that takes us to greater heights and bigger widths and allows us to be who we need to be. We need to have that mentally before it can physically manifest. That's what we have to understand. We need to be able to see it in our mind's eye before we can see it in our natural eye. Imagination is imperative for you to get to where you need to be and be able to enjoy it. See, the problem is a lot of people get their prayers answered, but because that was not what the real issue was, they're still unhappy. They're still unfulfilled. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be happy. I want you to make it happen. It's Make It Happen Monday. I want you to imagine. I want you to close your eyes and dream about it and see it. And if you don't think you can, let's let Big Sean help us. One man could change the world right here on Kinetic High Five. Make sure you pre-order your copy of the new book, Help Save Me from My Broken Heart, at theheartconnections.com. Kai High Five. Adelai Brown, your heart coach.